Hi, my name is Sally. I'm with Toy Elephant Photography, or I own Toy Elephant Photography. Um, with my last video, I got a few different questions, some going over the watermark, how to make a simple watermark and whatnot. But I'm going to go more technical with cameras for beginners. One of the questions that I see a lot of and that I got is, what's a simple way to bring more light to a natural light session? Well, that's a good question because some people, when they're first starting out, don't know what tools are available out there to help enhance a natural light session. And so this is just going to help out with that beginner aspect. First, I don't ever recommend, you can and you can try it all you want, but I find it very limited and very damaging to images is when you use the flash that's built into your camera. So I always just keep it down, and I shoot in manual, and if you have questions in manual, I will address that at some other point. But today, this is what I am going to go over. So one of the first basic things, it's very cheap, very easy, is a reflector. See, now, here's a good use of a reflector. See how this side of my face is dark, or darker than this side. This side's nice and light. So you can use a reflector, and you just, yeah, there, right there. You see how the extra light's there? Can you move it all around, make sure that pop in my eye is there? Here's the white, there's a white side. It's like very soft light. You can see the difference. Okay, so it's not as golden or warm, but you still get that extra light. So very subtle light sometimes that people need. On the other side of this sheet, you have a silver, and you have a black. The black is meant to detract the light or get more contrasted shadows in there. The hoop or wheel itself, you can use it without the cover, and you can block it in front of your light source to cut it down a little bit if it's too harsh and you don't have other types of things to help battle a harsh light. It helps bring that stop down. So it's a very handy thing. They come in larger sizes if you want. The smaller one helps me. I keep it at all times in my car. It helps me because sometimes I don't always have an assistant. I just shoot and go sometimes, or go and shoot, whatever, however you want to look at it. So this just fits right in the trunk. You need to have a bigger one. They also fold up somehow. Am I the only one that doesn't know how to hold it back together? But anyways, I just leave it like that. Now, going back to what I said about not using the flash, some people wonder, well, what if you absolutely need a flash? Well, if you absolutely need a flash, you can get an external flash. It has, let me see if I can, the batteries are dead, it's on, but batteries are dead, so I can't really show you. But it has different degrees of intensity of how strong a flash should be. It rotates around, goes up and down, and that's so you can bounce the light off of different sources and make the light a little bit more soft and more widespread. There's a test mode to show if it works or not, if something's wrong with it. And then there's different channels, so you don't have to have it connected to the hot shoe. This is the hot shoe. This is the hot shoe. So you don't have to have it connected to that. You can have it connected to another thing, and it syncs up to your camera, and you can have the light come from a different source from further away than you want, through an umbrella. Just really helpful source. This is a lot better if you want to do receptions or darker. This helps give you that added light. You can buy accessories that go with it, filters that go over this part, like a red, orange, or blue filter, so you can change the color temperature. This right here is, you see, and it cuts down, makes it more opaque, I guess. It cuts down the stop to make it more sends it out and looks more soft. Or you can get a dome, a white plastic dome to go over it. I suggest Gary foam domes, but there's different kind of domes out there. They simply just connect this to the camera. The dome goes over the camera, and it makes it more of a light, soft light. You can use that outdoors. You can do that indoors. You can do that with green eggs and ham. All that different kinds of stuff. Sorry. I have a little weird sense of humor. The next thing I do, I use this sometimes outdoors, but I use this more for indoors. So, but just as a tip, you can use, it's a constant light, or a video light, and it has degrees, how bright it can get. See? Helps with that. Sometimes I don't like that color temperature, there's that white, but the good thing about that one is you can have like a different color temperatures again. This is similar to the ones that would go into the external flash, just bigger. I have an orange one somewhere around here, which I like, because I like it nice and warm. I'm a golden hour fan. And what's the golden hour? A golden hour is the sunset hour, and it's a golden hour because it's a nice warm tone. And it just always looks freaking amazing. That's why it's called the golden hour, in simplest terms. So let's see here. What are things? Oh, I get asked a lot, and I see it a lot in beginner forums. What is the aperture? What is an f-stop? What is a shutter speed? And what is ISO? Well, okay, so let's, the easiest way to think about the lens of the camera is to think about maybe your eye. The aperture, or f-stop, is the amount of light that you let in as far as width-wise as the hole opens or closes. So the larger the number, the smaller the hole. The smaller the number, the larger the hole. It's more light being let in. So where you're at 1.8, see, very open iris. If you are at 22, it's a very pinhole iris. Okay, so it's not a lot of light being let in. The shutter speed is how long you let the light in. So between the two is where you get the exposure of your picture. So if you have a dim situation, you want to open up your iris as much as possible, so your shutter speed can be a lot faster. The slower your shutter speed is, the more you'll see motion. So that's why you'll find a big demand in having a very, you can get a 50 millimeter lens, where's my camera? 50 millimeter lens, you can get it 1.8, small, short, you get 1.8 aperture, it can open up to, there's 50 millimeters that open up to 1.4, and one that opens up to 1.2. It's very wide and very desirable, specifically with like natural lighting and lifestyle shooting, because, well, a lot of light helps, because that is what your camera is recording, is light. However, you will see points where it's just too bright, or it's too dark, and that is where you toggle between the aperture and the shutter speed. And again, you have to find a happy medium, and how you do that is by using a light meter, either an external light meter or the light meter in your camera if you have a professional or intermediate SLR. When you look through your viewfinder, you'll see a light meter. When you go, if you go to the right, sorry, my camera's a little backwards. To the right is light and to the left is dark. So you have to toggle between. In the middle is perfect exposure. Bracketing is going 1 or 2 stops to the right, 1 or 2 stops to the left, and that's where you can get variations of exposure. Now, ISO is the International Standard Organization. They are the ones that say this is the speed of the film. It's kind of like the weights and measures department for film, but they also do. I mean, I also saw international standard ISO standards for paper even. I guess just whatever. They do a lot of standards in the organization, I guess, for paper. I don't know too much more other than film and photography, so let's just keep it down to photography. They just say this is the standard of speed of film, just like the weights and measures is this is the standard for, this is what a pound is. A pound is this amount, and they go around to all the weights and make sure that all the weights read this weight is a pound, and that's all that means, and as far as the acronym. But what it means for your photography is how fast the light is being recorded onto, well, in filmmaze, onto the film. How fast the film is absorbing the light and making an imprint. But now that's just for your camera's processor. So it's kind of not so much film anymore, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So the faster it records. Okay, so example. One of the first pictures that was taken ever, or like the 1800s, not the first picture. Anyways, it took like a few days of exposure for it to imprint onto the film. It was black and white, it was shadow and light, and it just took pictures. It captured light and absence of light, which are shadows. And that's basically essentially all photography is, but now with modern day advances, it captures color, it can capture motion with video cameras and everything like that. So if the film absorbs light fast, then you'll get a brighter picture because it captured more light. If it's slow, it doesn't capture all the light, it just captures as much as it does. And I hope that makes more sense. I'm just keeping an eye on time, and I'm over my 10-minute mark. So if you have any more questions on that, go ahead and email me. It's toyelephantphotography@gmail.com, and I will help you understand that a little bit more. But that's why with well-lit situations, like sun and slow-moving objects like portraiture, you don't want a fast ISO. If you are in a darker or less light situation, you're going to want a faster ISO. And cameras these days can go pretty freaking high. I don't really see a necessity for it to go too high. I never ever go beyond 800. Maybe that's just the old film photographer in me that just, but I just don't see it. I don't see a reason. It does more damage than good. Specifically, if you're gonna not pay attention to your settings and you accidentally keep your settings in high and you go shoot outdoor, you're gonna have a lot of grain. And I just generally fluctuate between 200, 400, and 600, and I hardly ever have a need for 800 if I ever do go up that high. But I never need to go up that high, and I don't really ever see a reason for it, specifically with starting out in photography. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, want me to expand in any way, toyelephantphotography@gmail.com. Thank you.